Both readings today point to an important lesson for all those who seek to follow Jesus as his disciples. And the lesson is this: even if we have little, what we offer to God in trust, he expands and multiplies far beyond what is necessary to meet any task or situation at hand. And it's critical that we remember this, especially during these times when it seems like many things in our life are limited. Limited resources, limited money, even sometimes going to the grocery store and finding limited amounts of food. In one sense, things are pretty spiritually limited too. No public masses, no access to Holy Communion in the Eucharist and many of the sacraments, no youth group or physical opportunities to gather together, worship and pray, at least physically. But we can do one of two things, right? We can get angry, we can bemoan our situation, fall into despair, or we can trust, hand over the little that we have, even to God, and see what happens in his hands. Because if we think that God's power is limited by human standards, then we got another thing coming. Today's readings confirms the fact that what God desires most of all is our trust, and everything else, even if it's limited, can be multiplied when placed in his hands. Too often I think we can't see the divine power in the midst of human calculation. Philip, for example, gives such an analytical response to Jesus, saying, not even 200 days' wages are enough to feed even a little. Andrew's response, while practical, is no better. Here's a boy with 5 loaves and 2 fish. But what good are these for so many? You see, the apostles couldn't see and trust in God in that moment, to see that he had the power to take what little they had and multiply it. And God not only does the multiplication in the gospel, but even in the first reading of the Acts of the Apostles, he multiplies the church members. Because while possessing none of the qualities human beings would make for great leaders of that organization, because keep in mind the apostles were once fearful, confused, and sad men, God would take the little that these men possess and multiply them as strong pillars of the church. So today, if we feel limited by our own lack of gifts, talents, physical means, or even opportunities that we think are necessary for us to grow spiritually with God, look at today's readings. Give to God what you are able to in trust. Whether it's the way you pray at home, even watch these live streaming masses, still be charitable with others with your limited resources. Reach out to family members and friends. Because God can't be limited. He always multiplies. And he far expands and surpasses anything we possess or lack, if only we hand over to him what we do have in loving trust in his providential care.